Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. And we're back. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Ruel. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running. Something where in here everyone's a runner, and it isn't always about putting one foot in front of the other. It's about things like, some running here and there, the activity, the sport of running. It's also about, running things in your life, things that are important to you, your family, a healthy lifestyle, getting some good food on the table, that kind of stuff. So welcome. If you are a new listener, glad you're here. I hope you enjoy the show. Be sure to check out all the other back episodes on iTunes. You'll catch the most recent 100, and anything older than that, you can catch on the website at ruelsrunning.com. If you are a return listener, hey, welcome back. Good to see you. High five right here. Knuckle bump. So, what's going down? It has been pretty warm around here up in Northern California, the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And there's a lot of traffic at the moment. I am cruising along, trying to just participate in this thing called traffic. Good times. So, if you're like me and on the road, let's be careful. Let's not cause an incident. Let's not rage on the road. Let's be happy. Let's be good. Anyways, let's start with a run update. Since the last recording, I had a couple runs in. Just some nice, awesome midday runs. Feeling good, feeling spectacular. And it's just a way for me to sort of prove to myself that I could still enjoy my runs despite scratching off that late night run I started to do in hopes to get 250, but had to just say, I'm going to have to figure it out another time. But this isn't it. I'm going to bed. And that's that. I haven't put much thought. I have played with the idea of, maybe there's an organized event that I need to get into, that I need to commit to that way. And, maybe that's the one way I can approach it. Or I can find a run-in buddy and approach it that way. I don't know. These organized events, they do cost a pretty penny, but it's all for a good reason. Someone's got to plan and direct and organize and support all of that stuff. So, So I need to figure that out. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. If anybody has any recommendations, let me know. So I'm thinking of, I still like to cover 50. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the 50s out there are going to be trail 50s, so that'll up the challenge. If I have yet to complete a 50 on the flats, how am I going to do in a trail terrain, right? I also thought about maybe there's a 12-hour that I could a solo 12-hour I can just do, or I could find a 12-hour event to do and just see what happens. Roll the dice, see what happens. But I need to commit, that's for sure. Yeah. And have coffee before I start. Hey, you know what wrapped up the past weekend is the Western States 100 endurance run. Yep. One of the marquee ultra 100 events here in California, probably in the country, right? Yeah. And it's wrapped up, and I can't wait. Hi, Mr. Motorcycle. I think I've seen you before. Anyways, stories of folks who have participated, crewed, and whatnot are already coming out on other podcasts, and I can't wait to find out. Also online, reading about. I do know that the winner is a 20-year-old guy. So the youngest winner of the event. Awesome. And I do know that I can't even remember his name right now because he hadn't been on my radar, and I don't have a big radar regarding who's who in the sport. I do know that the first place woman finisher, Casey Laketide, if I'm not mistaken, she finished second last year in the Western States 100, and she took first women's this year. Awesome. Congrats to her. Yeah, man. I mean, everybody that's out there doing this stuff, truly inspiring. And to be quite honest, I'd love to, in my lifetime, have an opportunity to give that event a try. But I've got a lot of work to do to be able to do that. Yeah. So one step at a time, one run at a time. Moving right along. You know what? The other Saturday, I'm calling it the other Saturday. I don't know why. It's not this Saturday. It's the one that just wrapped up. So that makes it last Saturday. My time. Our good friend from Auckland, New Zealand, Mark Thompson. He wanted to know. What's up, Mark? He wanted to know. He wanted me to have a podcast report on something that I posted on Facebook. And basically, I had a family outing past weekend where we the family went to the movies. You guys ever take your kids to the movies if you have kids, or little ones? Ever take little ones to the movies? Rather, ever take kids to the movies? Or if you have little kids, or have kids that were once little, and if you recall, if you haven't completely lost your mind through the years, have you ever avoided taking your kids to the movie theaters because of kids can be kids, typical kids behavior and noise and activity, kind of maybe embarrassing in that sort of setting. You sort of want to just be at the theater just to watch, but kids can just be antsy in their pantsy, and you can't have that. People are going to be throwing popcorn at you and saying shh all the time, and right. So if you are a parent and ever avoided taking little ones to the theater, you know what I'm talking about. Well, once in a while, you can catch a theater that does child-friendly viewings. I guess is what they're called. Yeah. So what are you talking about? What's that? Well, it's in a reasonable time of the day where they have these showings, where, you know, reasonable for kids, meaning it's not going to be like 10 o'clock at night. You know, it's going to be, you know, in the middle of the day. And when you're at this theater, the theater brings the noise level down a notch so that, you know, the kids aren't scared of like the sound check or the whole test and surround sound thing, right? Kids aren't intimidated by that, little ones. And also the lighting, there's lighting in the theater. It's the place stays lit, although dim, but lit enough so that, again, the kids aren't scared by darkness. So yeah, so it's a child-friendly viewing of a movie. And the movie that we saw was Finding Dory, and the kids had a great time. I had a good time. I mean, it wasn't without interruption. I mean, you're with kids. Kids are, I mean, I love the whole setting. As a parent, I love the whole situation because you were at the movies, which is seldom because of the kids, right? But here's an opportunity for all the kids to be there. And there's other families there, other kids. You know, some kids are having a rough time, but everyone's like, totally, I get it. You know, it's not like, hey, you're interrupting my experience. No, because the experience is kids are allowed to be kids. You know, little toddlers can wander around the aisle and, you know, by just right in front of the first row between the screen and the seats, but as long as they're not, you know, shooting spitballs and throwing Cheetos and stuff at a screen, not a big deal. Some parents had themselves situated just at the hallway, the walkway, you know, where you enter and exit. I mean, not in a hazardous type of way, but it was a whole flexible situation just so that family members can be comfortable and watch. I mean, we sat in the front rows, surprisingly up front than, you know, my wife and I would have done if had it just been us. We were in literally rows 2, 3, and 4, right? The ones that are flat on the floor, not come rising up on the theater. And we weren't all situated together. My oldest was on the second row, and my youngest was in the third row, and my middle was in the fourth row. You know, and I was able to keep an eye on each one of them, and they were all happy and enjoyed many parts of the movie and had a good time. You know, at some point, you know, it's like I gotta take one kid to the bathroom, not a big deal. The other one's just really antsy, so I don't get to finish off every scene in the movie. I'm like chasing her around and going out of the theater back in and out of the theater back in, trying to catch glimpses of what's going on in the movie. So towards the end, I didn't get to see everything, but I got the gist of what had gone on, and so I can't wait to watch it again when it's available on loan or on streaming. But yeah, a great time. We deemed it as a successful movie outing with the family. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And regarding food, nearby there was an Asian buffet place, and you know, 5-10 years ago this place was a different Asian buffet place. At least from the front, it was named a completely different restaurant, and there was a chain of these particular types of restaurant in the Bay Area. Then they went away little by little. It's like, okay, that was just a memory. But this particular one that we went to by the theater, same location as the one from years ago. It's named differently, but we went in. I'm like, oh my God, this is the same restaurant, just named differently. So, I guess in a comforting way, it's nice to know that the restaurant kind of pretty much still exists, you know, in one shape or form. So, know where to go in case we want to enjoy something like this particular Asian buffet in the future when we're in this part of the Bay Area. And it was where was it? It was in Daly City. just south of San Francisco. Yeah, and yeah. I mean, back then, eating at a Asian buffet place like this, I would have just gone to town 3 trips, 4 trips, just, total pig. But since then, my, how I eat's changed. And so what did I eat this time around? Well, what I had was a plate full of sushi. They had a massive sushi display and bar, I guess. Sushi stations. And, they're not, I mean, they're impressive, and they're not, they're not my choice of sushi. At least, like, more than half of them are like, I can leave alone. There are a few that I was okay with. I had some rolls, so which meant that, they've got like the fake crabby stuff mixture in the middle, wrapped by a seaweed wrap, and then surrounded by a layer of rice. And they have like the probably not the best sort of mayo-looking sauce all over the top. So that stuff I had to scrape off. But it was good. I like the spicy tuna type stuff. The other types of sushi, the type of where it's sort of like a wad of rice, then a little swipe of wasabi, and then a nice slice of fish on top. That stuff, I like that. And I like tuna. Salmon's okay, but my favorite, and I find the most flavorful of the fish, is the mackerel. Or the saba, right? So good. And what do I have it with in the past? I used to have it with, the soy sauce, and with a bunch of wasabi mixed into the soy sauce, and the pickled ginger on the side. Nowadays, I don't even have any of the soy sauce. I just get a nice dollop of wasabi on my plate next to my sushi, and a bit of the pickled ginger on the side. So I just do a nice swipe of wasabi, or a nice smear of wasabi on my sushi. I like it. So that was it. It was a plate of sushi, 1 round, and then I did a second round at some point of the sushi. Good stuff. So I indulged. I enjoyed. It was a treat. It was a treat because, it's rice all around. It was a treat because, I couldn't avoid it. Some of that stuff had some weird sauce on it that, is often garnishing the sushis that are prepared. So do my best to not have any of it by smearing it off, but can't avoid it completely. And don't want to just turn the whole experience and preparation of the whole thing into... I don't want to dismantle the experience, the stuff, and make the whole experience weird. So I just enjoyed, and it was a good time. It was a good time with the family. Yeah, did that. Awesome. Now, speaking of family, coolest thing happened. This is regarding play. So there's this playground. It's more like a play area at a outdoor outlet mall, and their play structures are, the theme of the play area is dinosaurs, and so they've got this play structure that you can climb into. Got a couple of slides, one taller spirally type slide, and one shorter straight slide, and the structure looks like dinosaurs are embedded in it. And other parts of the play area, it's sort of this cork surface. There's like this big old bone and faux fossilized dinosaur skulls and whatnot. And pretty cool. And some rock formation that you can climb and off and onto, and under it is it's kind of like a cave type situation. Pretty neat. And there's a little toddler section where it's they've got made in cement, concrete. They've shaped like dinosaur eggshells that have been busted open. So it's these little they look like little cups, that little toddlers can hang out and sit on, and dinosaur bones, which are like, they basically look like tree logs, kind of positioned in a way next to those eggshells where kids could, kind of climb on, over, and off of, and one of them even comes at an angle, and it has a smooth surface on top, so it's like a baby slide. It's pretty neat stuff. So I have all my 3 kids enjoying this on this particular day, and other kids in the community and their parents are out and about. All the kids are playing, and it's kind of a warm day, so it's nice, but it can be uncomfortable depending on you and how much you're out and about doing stuff. But the cool thing happened. A cool thing that happened was, so my baby girl, she's 2.5, and she's playful, she's having a good time. But then some other kid who seemed to be sort of, I don't know, was kind of off in a way. He's like, didn't want to listen to his dad. This particular boy would sit at the bottom of the slide, and from the play structure, and he would just block traffic, right? And the younger kids, that are waiting on top of the slide to come down, they're instructed by their parents to wait for it to clear out so that no one gets hurt. So this kid sitting at the bottom of the slide, and he's holding up the rest of the play. His dad comes over and starts sort of like lecturing him in Japanese. He's a Japanese family, Japanese kid, Japanese father, and I know because growing up on Guam, there's a lot of Japanese tourists and folks in the community, and I had to know a little bit of Japanese to do my work back when I lived in Guam. Anyways, but so the dad picks up his kid, takes him away from the slide, and the kids, including my kids, get to continue sliding down the structure, only for the little Japanese kid to come back and sit at the bottom of the slide, smiling, knowing that he's what he's doing, and his dad ain't digging it. Dad takes him away. Anyways, that play is over in a different part of the play area, a different time of the day. My daughter is hanging out by the toddler section, and the Japanese kid comes over to my daughter. And I'm not sure what he did, if he like touched her from her back, or if he pushed her, or if he got in her way, or if he sort of like bumped into her. It upset my daughter. My daughter, she kind of like got upset and walked away from him, and then kind of threw herself on the ground, crying, right? Crying for daddy. I'm watching from a distance. I slowly make my way to my daughter just to let her know where I'm at, right? And then the Japanese kid's like, dum-de-dum, like whatever, right? And then there's this Mexican kid that comes over to the Japanese kid. The Japanese kid is sitting down on the ground, and the Mexican kid, he takes both of his hands and he pushes the Japanese kid on the chest. Not like super aggressive, but just enough to give a push, right? Pushed him once, right? And they're kids. It's harmless. But then the Mexican kid looked upset, right? And then he gives the Japanese kid another push, right? Kind of like push, like. And then after he pushes the Japanese kid down a couple times, the kid's already down, just keeping him down essentially. Then the Mexican kid comes over to my daughter before I even get there. My daughter's laying on the ground. He kind of kneels down next to my daughter, and you can see what's happening. He's checking to see if she's okay, right? So it's one way to look at it is there's this bully kid who somehow bullied my daughter, the girl, and who gets upset and moves away, and then this other kid comes over, just without saying a word, shoves the one kid like, hey, kind of like, what the heck are you doing? Quit it. leave her alone. Shoves him a couple times, checks on the girl, my daughter, like, are you okay? Yeah, it's kind of a neat sequence of events that played out. And then, my daughter's laying there and haven't arrived yet, and then she sticks her foot out as to kick the guy away, the Mexican guy away. So the one guy who's there to look after my daughter at that moment, my girl doesn't understand what's going on, and she doesn't want anybody around her, so he sticks her foot out, and as if like, leave me alone, dude. Well, I thought it was cool. It was cool. Everyone was fine. No one was hurt. There was no riot. But later, everyone just kept on playing, and I noticed that the Mexican kid and his folks were about to leave, and I picked up my daughter, and I went over to the Mexican kid's father, and I'm like, hey, that's your boy, right? He's like, yeah. Just want to describe kind of what happened earlier, and I thought it was like the cutest thing, and kind of just what I described. Your boy came over to my daughter's rescue, right? Because some other kid had annoyed her, or bothered her one way or another. I thought it was cute. That was cool. My daughter went to kick your boy, but aside from that, it was kind of cool. My daughter doesn't understand what had happened because she doesn't know any of these kids. But yeah, it's kind of cool that your boy did that, looking after the others. Pretty cool. Just wanted to let you know. And he's like, hey, I'm like, yeah, man, your son's he's a good kid. He's like, yeah, thanks. Yeah, good times. Dinosaur Park Adventures. I know Lonnie's like, dude, you gotta stay out of those parks. Last time I was at a park, had some screaming lady on the phone, neglecting her children. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's not gonna end. The playground, the play structures, all of that stuff is just gonna be, and the parks is just gonna be some weird source of activity. Can't avoid it. Yeah. And hoot. So that was the daytime, right? Later on that night, nighttime routine, typical stuff. Everyone goes home, everyone eats, everyone bathes, everyone gets in PJs, everyone goes to bed. Awesome, right? And not really. Not really. I generally stay up later than everybody else because I'm trying to get, I want my wife to get an undisturbed amount of sleep. So she hits the sack before me, and I try and get the three kids situated and tucked in and whatnot. And then once that's done, everyone's asleep. Then I have a little bit of time, if I'm not exhausted, to just kind of like enjoy the peace, do my own thing, get on the computer, do some work, or do podcast stuff, or just have a drink. Maybe have a little hit of the scotch, right, or the bourbon, or whatever the heck I have going, whatever I have on hand, or nothing. And so then just before midnight, right, that night, I got a call to go on duty. The call of duty as a parent through the baby monitor. Yeah, my daughter's she's upset. All right, she's 2.5. We still have the baby monitor going on in her room. We haven't done away with the baby monitor for her. For the others, we have, but for her, she was still there, and so my daughter's upset, and so she's upset, and that's the call of duty for me as a parent, right? One, as a parent, and two is I have to go and take care of it because I can't let my wife be disturbed and then disturb her sleep, and that's typically how it is. I'll deal with it. And so I go upstairs to my daughter's room, and she's upset, and she threw up all over her bed. Well, not like every square inch of her bed, but she was throwing up. She had thrown up, and she was still kind of dealing with it. So, yeah, I know. You're like, thanks for the visual, Ruel. I'm trying to enjoy a little snack or a meal here. It's the last thing I need to. Yeah, little kids. Yeah, there's going to be spit up, there's going to be throw up, there's going to be potty stuff. That's just the way it is. And we talk about family stuff on this podcast. So there we go. Puke. Poor thing, right? She's like, blah. She hasn't been feeling good. She's just finally coming around to feeling a little bit better, but she hadn't been feeling good, I don't know, earlier in the week. I don't know if it's the heat or if she picked up a bug. Supposedly she picked up a bug, maybe from school, from preschool and stuff. But yeah, so, kind of like, just basically watched her finish up, her whole throw-up session, and tried to just situate her in a way where it doesn't cause more mess in new spots than there already was a mess. So what do you do, Ruel, when you have a little one that throws up in her bed and it's late night? Well, what do? You do the responsible thing. You clean up your kid and clean up her bedding situation, and you help comfort her and bring her back to bed. So let her finish kind of ralphing. That wasn't too long, but you could tell she was like all done. I'm like, are you cool now? She's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, let's clean you up. Don't worry. I'm the kind of parent that, my kid's throwing up. All right, cool, you're throwing up. When you're done, I'll ask you if you're done and if you're ready to go. Whereas some parents will be like, oh my God, and then that'll just add a level of stress on top of the child who's trying to throw up, who's, you don't need that additional stress. You don't need to show panic and fright in your face. It's just kids throwing up. So that's me. Like, okay, you're throwing up. Don't worry. You'll be cool, because I don't want to add more stress to what she's already going through. At her age, throwing up in bed is still, I'm pretty sure, a new thing. It would be a new thing for me as an adult. If I threw up in bed, I'm like, whoa, this hasn't happened since I can remember. So yeah, like, she's done with her session of throwing up on her bed, and I pick her up, take off her PJs, use the dry parts of her PJs, and most of it was dry, to sort of wipe off her face, and then I took her off the bed, clean of any soiled PJs, and like, okay, we'll get you in some fresh PJs. Did that. Now it's just a matter of me cleaning up all of the muck on her bedding. I'd have to just strip all the sheets out, pillowcases. It was just one pillowcase. One was kind of had a little pukage on it, but then for the most part it was just a fitted sheet. So I was like, okay, well, I can't leave you here while I go hunt for like cleaning stuff and new sheets. Completely. So I brought her to my room where my wife was, mostly asleep, and I had her hang out with mommy while I took care of that. That was the exception, She had to watch the baby girls, while I took care of stuff. That's the exception. Because ordinarily, I wouldn't want to disturb her, but if it was just the girl was fussing and because of nightmares or something, I'd deal with it, and my wife can continue on sleeping. But we've got throw up, so that's the exception. You're gonna have to watch her here while I get everything sorted out and take her back. And cleaned up the bedding, cleaned off the sheets, and put new bedding. Well, I also had to like wipe down the mattress because there was still some sort of moisture that had. And what did I use for that? I used some sort of enzymatic spray that's used for things like, baby puke and pittle and stuff. Yeah. So I can't just like take the puked on sheets and stick it in like the soiled clothes bin, the hamper, because it's just gross, right? I had to take it down to where we have the laundry, have a separate sink for the laundry, and I just like rinsed off as much of that puke as possible off the sheets. You just straight water, and then I took a cleaning product and sprayed that all over, and then I put everything, including the PJs, in a basin full of water and this cleaning product solution. That was done. So once that's just sitting soaked, then we'll deal with washing it on the next day. Sheets were clean, baby's clean, soiled stuff is put away appropriately. Brought my daughter back to bed. No problem getting her back to bed. And then that was all before midnight. So I was able to hit the sack a little bit after midnight, all done. So, yeah. So if you are a soon-to-be parent or a new parent, and there's a couple things that you might need to know. 2 products. One, you can get this one online or something similar. It's called Toddlers. It's a spray, and you can buy it as a spray bottle, or you can even buy the refillable bottle so that you can continue to use the same old spray bottle. Yeah. I heard about the product from a Bedtime podcast, and I was a young parent at the time, and I was listening to podcasts like that, and Totally Toddlers was mentioned, and I picked it up at a Babies R Us. They've had it. You can also get it on Amazon. Yeah, Totally Toddlers. I think it's described as an enzymatic, so it deals with things like puke and pee and poo. I don't know. I guess it breaks down enzymes and whatnot, and it also once it does that, and you help clean up the mess. It's a cleaner. Then it helps make things that are peed on, puked on, and pooped on not too bad of a situation. Like if it's on a mattress, clean that stuff up with the Totally Toddlers. Use the instructions as directed. Yeah. So I've been using that for mattresses that have gotten tainted one way or another by pee or puke. And yeah. Hardly ever any poo type stuff. Yeah. Thank goodness. So that was one product. The other product was Oxi Clean. You know the Oxi Clean. They used to have the big commercials on TV. Oxi Clean. It's non-bleachy. Yeah, we keep a spray bottle in the laundry area. So I washed off the sheets and I soaked it in some Oxi Clean and water. Yeah. And that's not all, is what they used to say, right, in these infomercials. And that's not all, there's more. Well, you know what? And that's not all, there's more drama with the kids. I can't remember if it was the same night or if it was a different night on that weekend, but yeah, my middle kid who these days currently crashes out in our room. Not interested in sleeping in his own room. So he crashes out on a futon in our room. So he has his own little spot. And he sleeps all over the place. As a kid, you're all over the place wherever you sleep. He sleeps on his futon. Sometimes he's off the futon. Sometimes he's halfway on the futon and halfway off the futon. Sometimes he finds his way behind some furniture. I don't know, but that's just his deal. But this particular night, he gets up because he has a bloody nose, and he likes wrapping himself up. He has a favorite blanket, and it's a fleece blanket. And I tell him, dude, right now it's kind of warm. Don't cover yourself up. I know it's kind of your thing to kind of cocoon yourself in your blanket, but it's hot right now. It's warm. So that sort of heat and the dry heat, just he's susceptible to nosebleed. So this particular night, nosebleed. Yeah. So I basically like a I don't know, like a leaky faucet? I don't know if that's a good analogy. I patch him up. You don't patch up a leaky faucet. But I just take a wad of paper towel and shove it up his nose. Right? And leave it as that. I don't tell him to do what was recommended when I was a kid, which apparently is not recommended anymore, where you would pinch your nose and tilt your head backwards. Apparently that's the wrong thing to do. Somehow we all survived it in my generation and maybe generations before me. So now I just stick up a nice absorbent wad of paper towel in that nostril that's leaking blood and wait for things to kind of stop. So I did that. He goes to sleep with a thing of paper towel in his nose. Big old blotches of blood on his pajama shirt. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But, deal with it the next morning. And that's where the Oxi Clean comes in handy, because things like dried on blood, right, like that, spray it on. You can see the Oxi Clean working on blood. It's just like it starts to foam, right, when you spray it on the blood. So you kind of feel like, ooh, it's working. But yeah, do that, spray it on, pretty good. And I also just let it soak in a solution of the Oxi Clean and water for a good period of time. And eventually all that blood just kind of comes off. Then you just launder the garment as usual. Pretty neat, pretty good. So those two products, yeah, totally Toddler and Oxi Clean. Wow, never thought I'd be pushing cleaning products on this podcast, but I am. For you folks who have kids that make a mess, or just are an adult that has messes, that could be helpful to you. Awesome. Now, and I'll put links for those products on the show notes. Let's talk about food. Food. You know what I made for my wife for a meal plan recently? 2 things. And I've made them before, but I'm not sure if I've shared the recipes on the podcast before. Really easy stuff. One, it's called Garlicky Shrimp. Shrimp. If you love shrimp, this is the one for you. And if you like garlic, this is the one for you. It's it's basically, let me see if I can remember the recipe. Let's see. It is, I want to say olive oil, right? In a pan. And then garlic, thinly sliced garlic, not to brown, just to kind of soften. Then throw in your shrimp, your pound of shrimp in this recipe, And what happens is all of like the liquid from the shrimp starts to come off, and it creates this little kind of shrimp soup, along with the garlic and the olive oil. This is nice. It helps cook the shrimp through. The other thing you're tossing in is no, I think that's pretty much it. Seasoned salt and pepper. I think that's pretty much it. Because I'm thinking of something else right now. I'm thinking of the second dish. It's very similar, but that's the garlicky shrimp dish. You heat the shrimp through, done. Serve while hot, but it was meal prep, so it's prepare till complete and then store. The other dish was a Chilean sea bass dish. So automatically, Chilean sea bass, it's not cheap, right? I think a pound at the Whole Foods came to about $30. What? Yeah, not cheap. I don't know if it was a pound, but it was one side fillet of a Chilean sea bass, but it's not cheap. It's got skin on it, and one side, it's not cheap, and it's a nice, hefty piece of fish. And what I noticed this time around, it's a fatty fish, and that's good. Fat fish oil, yummy, good for you, right? Omega-3s. Anyways, I'm not sure if I'll have the recipe to this specific dish, the Chilean sea bass, but I can describe it. This is let's see. I take this Chilean sea bass, right? And it's thawed out. It's ready to cook. I rinse it off. When this particular cut, it still had some of the bones in it, but I wasn't gonna spend any time with a thing of pliers or whatever and extracting every piece of bone off of it, because I think if you are a fish eater, you take on that duty and responsibility for yourself. Oh, there's bones in this fish. I'm just gonna make sure to watch out for bones in this fish, right? Fish have bones. Anyways, paper towel dry, and then I'll put it on a roasting pan or a sheet, right?
but I'll grease the sheet anyways with a nice thin layer of coconut oil. Then I'll put the Chilean sea bass. I had to cut this in half to make 2 nice steaks of fish because it was just too much to keep together. And skin side down, right? And then took some more of that coconut oil and I kind of a nice thin layer on the fish itself. Season with salt and pepper, yummy, sea salt. And then I baked that till it was done. So it was like 15 minutes for, I can't remember the temperature. I don't know, 350 or something. It was done roasting or baking. Took it out, set it aside, and while that's even while that's cooking, you could do the other part of the recipe, which is you get the saucepan and you put ghee in there. And it was like 3 tablespoons of ghee, and you put some sliced shallots in there, maybe a couple of sliced shallots. So you soften the shallots in the saucepan with the ghee. Delicious. And you throw in the juice of a freshly squeezed lime and the zest of the lime. So what do you got? You got butter, shallots, and lime. Yummy. The recipe technically calls for stuff like cayenne pepper as well, additional seasoning, but for my wife's meals I omit the cayenne pepper. But so it's basic. So then what you do is when that's all done, you pour that on the fish, and then your fish is done. And you can sprinkle some parsley, whatever, if you want to, But that was it. Those are the 2 dishes, and I won't be able to share the specifics of that recipe on the show notes, but I'll link to where I had the recipe found, and it was the Chilean sea bass came from a paleo type cookbook, so some ultimate guide to paleo or something. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll double check. I'll share it. I'll link it. So yeah, yummy. And as usual, bone broth. Every week, new batch of bone broth. Awesome. I think I talked about it before. Been doing primarily beef broth lately, and whatever's been left over from the previous batch, I've just been cycling that back in with the new batch. As with the new batch, you have your bones, your veggies, your organic apple cider vinegar, and your herbs and seasonings, right? And your cold water, and then you kick off the process of slow cooking it to generate the broth, to create the broth, but as part of the liquid, I'll add the old broth into it. So yeah, it's just getting kind of richer and richer every time. It's good, it's delicious. And if you're not just drinking it because you love the taste of broth, you're also adding it to other dishes that you can use that broth in the Vitamix with some broccoli or some cauliflower and a little bit of cream, and make up your own delicious soup, right? So yeah. And speaking of broth, I talked about last episode where I was going through this whole slow cooker blues. Guess what came in recently in the mail? The replacement liner for our slow cooker. And it's great, right? Still running the old one with the bubbles. But we'll swap it out eventually. And we shall see. I'm not confident that this replacement liner won't have the same issue down the road. But yeah. And why do I feel that way? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that the box said origin made in China. Right? Nothing against China. Just, stuff gets mass produced. Yeah, I don't know. We shall see. I want All Clad to prove me wrong with the replacement. That what I started off with was a fluke, and that they made it right, not just by replacing it, but by having a better quality produced liner, so that there is no bubbling right? Right. So yeah, that's the update on the slow cooker situation. Okay. Hey guys. Vitamins. Get yourself some of the Pure Vitamin Club vitamins and mineral supplements. You know, I have it running on the podcast episodes. You know, one way or another, talking about Pure Vitamin Club, and they have a couple products right now. The multicap and the broad spectrum magnesium. Get if you're not on them already, get some. Right, I use them. You know, I know a lot of other people that use them, but it's good. It's a good idea, right? It's that insurance policy for when you may have a shortfall in your vitamins and minerals in your day-to-day diet, right? I mean, obviously, whole foods, real foods is the way to go, but you know, I've heard, and I can't prove it, but you know, I believe it, that you know, the soil use, the way we produce our foods and the soils, it's just, you know, it isn't what it used to be. So you know, the produce doesn't produce as well as they used to be when they're mass farmed, and there isn't time for the soil to turn over and get healthy again. So that, you know, that blah blah blah. You know, look into that stuff. But so yeah, so the point is, and with like processed foods and whatnot, you know, there's a chance that you may not be getting, you know, everything you need, and whether you know it or not, it doesn't hurt to get that sort of an insurance policy, and that insurance policy can come in the form of supplements. And you know, the folks at Pure Vitamin Club, you know, I know the founder, Vinnie Tortorich, and CEO and partner of Vinnie, Andy Schreiber. You know, I haven't met either of the guys personally, but I've been in contact with them personally over the phone or online. You know, and you know, I enjoy listening to those guys on their own podcast, talking about their supplements and things regarding nutrition and health and vitamins on podcasts. The Celebrity Trainer Podcast, or Celebrity Fitness Trainer Podcast. So yeah, so I'm saying, yeah, get yourself some if you aren't already. And over here at Ruel's Running, you know, we're affiliates with we've subscribed, or we've signed up for the Pure Vitamin Club affiliate program. So if you go to ruelsrunning.com/vitamins, it'll redirect you to sort of my affiliate link to Pure Vitamin Club, where you can, you know, sign up and get on your subscription of any of the products. And so what's so good about the products? Well, you know what? You know, I trust in Pure Vitamin Club and Vinnie and Andy in formulating their products, their multicap and their broad spectrum magnesium. I trust that. Well, one is that, you know, they're affordable, right? Can't beat that. How many times have you gone into a store and had to spend a ton of money on stuff, you know, and that's a lot of times that stuff that you're buying that contains stuff you don't need. So with Pure Vitamin Club supplements, you know, they're free of fillers and additives and flow agents and stuff that are potentially harmful. So you're getting pure product. So that's good. You know, good price, pure product, easy to obtain. Just go to Pure Vitamin Club, but don't go directly. Go through ruelsrunning.com/vitamins and get to them there. Sign up, you know, order your products, and you know, I'll get an initial that Rules Running will get an initial sort of hit or taste off of that at no additional cost to you. That's just how the affiliate stuff works, and you get quality vitamin and mineral product supplements, and everyone's happy. Thank you very much. Oh man, this is one long drive. Let's see. I think that's all I got. But you know what? It's the end of June before I go. The end of June, we're gonna hit second half of the year. I I will begin having guests on the podcast again. Need to start contacting folks and getting folks on this thing, and have a whole lot of fun in the process. One who I want to have on the show because something special is happening with her, and her is the one female guest I've ever had on the show, Anna Vocino. I gotta get a hold of her because, you know what, next month in July she's having a pre-launch for something that she has been working on for quite a long time. She has a book, and a book that will, as of now, will launch in early August, so something to look forward to. I want to get her on the show. Anna, if you're listening to this episode, let's get on this podcast and let's talk about you. Let's talk about your book, and let's have a good old time. Yeah, so her book is titled Eat Happy, and I'd love for her to get back on the podcast to talk about it. And eat happy. I posted a few blasts on social media, letting folks know, look out for Eat Happy. Look out, it's coming. Yeah, Eat Happy. So we'll get her on the show. We'll talk about her book. And so you guys, just keep an eye out for Eat Happy, by Anna Vocino. What's it subtitled? Eat Happy. Gluten-free, grain-free, low-carb recipes for a joyful life by Anna Vocino. Yeah, that's so awesome. I can't wait to get that book. I can't wait. Eat Happy. So yeah, and that's something to look forward to. And the other thing to look forward to, and I've mentioned it before in a previous podcast, is our good friend Vinnie Tortorich. He has a live event in July, next month, on the 14th. It's called the Big Fat Show, Vinnie Tortorich's Big Fat Show. So go check that out if you're in the LA area. I think it's in Pasadena, right? At the Ice House Comedy Club. He's going to be there. Anna's going to be there as well. And if you're there, you may be able to even maybe get an early release copy of her book there with her if she has them on stock, on hand. So check that out. Check that out as well. Vinnie Tortorich's Big Fat Show, July 14th. Do I have a show? No. I don't have a live event? No. I don't have a book? No. So I'm going to promote everybody else's stuff. So purevitaminclub.com via ruelsrunning.com/vitamins for awesome vitamins, supplements at a good price and pure. Upcoming book, Eat Happy by Anna Vocino. Look out for that. I'll share stuff in the notes. And Vinnie Tortorich's Big Fat Show at the Ice House. Awesome. That's all I got, guys. I'm in the back half of my commute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a leak once I stop because my bladder may be full of coffee. So yeah, I gotta go pee. With that, enjoy your day. Thanks for listening. Catch you next episode. Eat something delicious. Hug a friend. Hug a family member. Go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.